This is, in a few minutes, how to use your Foundation Safety 1926 construction audit form or any other audit that I provided for you. This example we're going over is a full value, full featured, completely usable example of the kind of audits I build that I'm offering to you for free. This specific audit is a subset of 29 CFR 1926 for small scale commercial construction projects or residential construction. Everything here was hand selected. No AI was used in the construction of this audit. It's selected by an actual human being for that purpose. And if you're doing construction and you don't have any major excavations, this is likely going to be a near perfect fit for your operation. And I'll go over some ways to adjust it for your criteria if you need to do something a little bit different to make it fit even a little better. From the top, the audit's broken into context. You have your admin and field in this case, and I've done my best to split it up into things you are likely able to verify either from the field office or from the corporate office, and items that you're going to most likely have to go out into the construction site to view. So that's just a piece of organization to help facilitate going through the audit. From there, everything is broken down into categories and subcategories in any audit. In this particular audit, those map really well to subparts and sections of the OSHA standard. If you click on any of these, then you're going to go to, this is an admin section. We're going to go into the admin summary for the audit. This audit, due to the nature of it, has an admin summary that is relatively short. The field summary is longer. If you look here, you've got a lot of scoring columns. You've got not only your categories, but your subcategories. But those are again mapped as subparts and sections. You've got these blue numbers that tell you how many answers remain to answer any of those questions. And then you've got these score columns. Possible is going to be a sum of the weights of all the questions. The questions can be weighted. Assessed is going to be how you did on the score for that piece. You're going to have a total assessment score for each category, and you have a standard achieved flag. That is a way to flag areas where you're not as prepared as you'd like to be. So if the standard is hard coded at 80%, if you do not reach 80% in a particular context, then you're going to see a red flag, and that's going to draw your attention to it. That it may be something you want to fix. These are also links. Anything here is a link, and when you click it, you're going to see that takes you to your actual audit form. Here are your line items. These are broken up. Here's a category. Here's a subcategory. For each line item, you have a piece of guidance reference from the OSHA standard itself. I use these in every audit, particularly if you're doing a management system audit, because you can filter through the audit later on, check that these quotes are still exactly the way they appear in your management system, and if they're not, you may have identified a change and you want to go out and rewrite your audit. You don't want your audit to get out of sync with your management system, and that's a tool to help do that. It's also a tool for the auditor. If you're watching this, you probably know how high your handrails need to be. Maybe you know how much clearance you need around a fire exit. Maybe you know how many toilets you need on your work site. Maybe you know how far you can throw something off a roof before you need to shoot. But when you get to something you don't know, then you've got these references. And, once you read the reference, next time you do the audit, that's likely to be something that you do know, and you might not have to read it again. Even so, I've found it very persuasive when you can quote chapter and verse, either from a management system or from a legal standard, exactly why you have to fulfill a certain requirement or the exact specifics of a requirement. So we can go into it there. I'm going to score one of these. You're going to score everything from 0 to 1. So let's just give ourselves a 1 here. We'll call it very good on that particular line item, and I'll fill out a few more. Here we're not doing so good. We're at 30%, and let's do another at 58%. These are just numbers that you're going to use on a scale from 0 to 1 to judge how well you're doing in that particular category. And a final one, 80%. When I go back to the field summary, you can see that here we're starting to populate these line items. We've got a lot to go. Now, some of these are not going to have anything to do with your particular site or your operation. Here's a good example. This is cranes and derricks in construction. If we're not using that, I can go here to this category. I can mark it as non-applicable. I can go to another category, maybe that we are interested in, but we have a section of it that we want to mark non-applicable. We can do that there. I can reach down into a particular line item, and if I put the exact sort of string N/A, then that line item will be non-applicable. And you don't have to worry about getting it right. There's a pop-up here that's going to tell you if you put something in a field that isn't appropriate, it's going to tell you, no, can't do that. You've got to retry. Now here's an interesting point. If I mark a section not applicable, and there's one item in here, maybe just one thing that I want to pull out, I can put a score there and it will be accepted. So not applicable, we're just marking that as a default answer for these particular sections. I'll go back to the summary and we'll see what we've done there. So we've got things not applicable. That is subtracted from the weight of the category. It's also subtracted from the score. We have everything non-applicable in this under derricks and construction, but because we have one line item and we've scored that line item as a 1 for 100%, our score is 100%, though the weight of it in the final calculation will be less than it would have been if we filled them all in. Let's fill in one with some bad scores just to have a look. Let's go to something short. We'll just dip into here and signs, signals, and barricades and give ourselves some terrible scores. We'll be generous and do a 50% on this one. And when I go back to the summary, you can see that that has indeed been flagged as failing to achieve our standard. So it's definitely something that we want to draw attention to. There is a hidden non-applicable feature here. Up at the top, if you look at where it says score as the title for this column, I can click on that and I can mark this entire context as default non-applicable. So for the field context, everything is non-applicable. I'm doing that now, so when we look at the field summary, we see that it's complete. There are no more blue numbers here. Everything is either marked non-applicable or is scored. I can go to the safety assessment and I can see that all of my field categories are filled in, and I have a field grade. The field grade is 60%. If I move into admin, I'm going to use the same trick and score that non-applicable, and I'm going to give myself one score just so we have something on the board to see in our summary. Our admin summary is complete. Our safety assessment is complete. We have an admin score of 100% with 0 findings. We have a field score of 60% with 2 findings. Again, findings being places where our standard was below 80%. Now, I use Excel as a front end for these audits because it runs on nearly everything and it can be read by nearly every software and any programming language. If you have an AI agent that you're using, the AI agent definitely knows how to read Excel if that's important to you. It's powerful, it's flexible, it's universal. However, walking around with a tablet, maybe wearing a glove with a fingertip cut out specifically for this purpose, is not going to be a good fit for every site. So any audit I produce comes with this wonderful bit of 20th century technology. If you've got, I'll provide my end and you provide your end. And that is right here. We have the audit on pen and paper in beautiful cartridge sparing all black ink with a table of contents. You can print this out and you go get your own. I'll provide this. You provide the clipboard and you put it on your clipboard and you get your pencil. You can walk around. You can perform the audit. Then you can enter it into the audit form, or you cannot enter it into the audit form. You can use this audit And then your follow-up can be to order some parts. You can use this audit, and that leads to a conversation. You can use this audit as a means of developing your new safety personnel. If you look here in the corner, you won't be able to see this in the video, but this has 11,623 words. So a little under 12,000. That includes, of course, the headings in the table of contents. 12,000. OSHA 1926, if you include headings and contents, has 400,000 words. So let's just say in this case, I read that so you don't have to, because a whole lot of it does not have anything to do with your industry or your organization. So I've hand selected the parts that are meaningful to you. And if you read through it, if instead of reading through 400,000 words, you just read through this audit form, if you do nothing with this audit form but read through it, then you'll know more than most people. And you don't have to sit through 30 hours of slides to get it. You have to sit down and focus and read for an hour and a half. So you're an hour and a half away, or anyone you give this to is an hour and a half away from being likely dramatically more prepared than they were before they received it. So I want you to appreciate and enjoy the safety and the piece of some regulatory insulation that you can gain from following this audit. This is my business card. So, a lot of companies will give you a 3.5 inch by 2 inch piece of stiff paper. I am giving you a week's worth of work. Enjoy it in good health, and if you have an opportunity, please share it with someone else.